Welcome to Your Healthy Kitchen from YRMC.
Welcome to Your Healthy Kitchen. I'm your host, Rita Carey Rubin. So when the holiday season comes around each year, I start thinking about food, even more than I usually do, and what I can prepare to make the holidays special. I do enjoy making holiday meals that take a little more time to prepare and that are a little more decadent than usual, but my meals are still always based on plants. In fact, holiday meals are perfect for highlighting and celebrating the season's bounty, especially in this part of the world where we can grow crops year-round and also buy super fresh produce at the summer and the winter Prescott farmers markets. So vegetable-based dishes can add lighter flavors and textures to super rich holiday meals, often making those meals much more memorable and satisfying. And seasonal vegetables are also quite affordable, and even the most common and unremarkable vegetable can be dressed up and made fancy for the holiday table. So here's one of my favorite dishes to make as part of any celebration, using inexpensive and seasonal ingredients. It's a warmly spiced carrot soup. So to make our soup, it's really nice to start with your own homemade stock. In fact, when I make soup at home, I usually try to make my own stock, simply because it tastes much better than any stock or vegetable broth you'll find in a store. And it's also really easy to do. So to make our stock, we'll start with a pot of water and an onion. So I'll just thinly slice this guy up. And we'll add it to our water. Along with some salt. And what's also nice about homemade stocks is you get to control how much salt is added to the broth. You've probably noticed that a lot of stocks that you buy in the store often are really high in sodium. So if you make your own, you get to control that. So some other things that we add to our stock are some thinly sliced potatoes, some thinly sliced celery, a couple of stalks, and I like to slice the vegetables for stock on the thinner side instead of just putting in big chunks, because the thinner the vegetable is, the more flavor will infuse into the water. We'll also add some garlic just by pressing down on the cloves and just popping the skin, and we'll throw the whole thing in the stock. That's another fun thing about making stock, is the vegetables don't have to be pretty. You're just throwing them in there to flavor up some water. So another thing I like to add to stock are leeks. And leeks add just a slightly sweeter flavor. It's still an oniony flavor, but sweeter than that white onion that I put in earlier. And if you've never worked with leeks, they look like this. And before you use it, you really want to clean it really well, because the leek can gather a lot of dirt and sand in the layers inside. So to clean your leek, you simply cut off the root. And if it's a really big leek like this, you might cut it in half, and then open it up, and then just run this under running water until all of the dirt is removed. And for leeks, the dirt often tends to accumulate up here in the leaves. So make sure you wash those really well. Because for your stock, you're going to use the whole leek, the white part and the green. So I've got a leek that I've cleaned here, and we'll do the same thing that we did with the other vegetables. We'll just slice it up. And like I said, we'll use the green part as well. And just put it in our pot. So in addition to all those vegetables flavoring your stock, it's nice to also put in some fresh herbs. So I've got some fresh thyme here and some parsley. So we'll just throw those whole big bunches right in there. We'll also use some bay leaves. And some peppercorns. And that actually is a really simple, basic stock. You could use this stock for really any kind of soup that you're making. But what's also neat about making your own homemade stock is you can adjust your stock to go along with the flavors of the soup that you're making. So our carrot soup has some ginger in it, so I'm also going to add some peeled and sliced ginger to our stock. So it'll add that extra ginger flavor and really complement the soup. So to let the stock, you'll bring the stock to a boil, let it simmer, turn it down, let it simmer for about a half an hour. And when it's done, pull it off the heat, let it cool a little bit, and then just strain it, strain the vegetables out. And that's all you need to do. So while our stock is cooking, we can prepare the ingredients for our soup. So this carrot soup is super simple and affordable. So we start just with chopping up an onion. And we're going to saute this guy in a little bit of oil. So you can use, for this recipe, you can use olive oil, or you could use coconut oil, which I have in the pot right now. And the coconut oil just adds a little extra richness and kind of a nice, kind of exotic flavor to the soup. So we're going to dice up our onion here. So an easy way to dice up onion is take your onion, and I didn't completely cut off the root end of my onion, so that root end is actually still holding the onion together. And I'm just going to make a series of vertical cuts in the onion like this. And then I'll make one cut horizontally like this. Maybe two. This is a big onion. And then slice vertically again, and you'll get these nice little onion pieces. And you'll eventually get to the part of the onion that's still stuck together. And then you just cut that guy up. So again, just like you did for the stock, smaller pieces of vegetables will be real nice to add more flavor to your soup. And when your veggies are cut up a little bit more thinly and smaller, your soup will cook a little bit more quickly as well. So we've got our onion sauteing, a little bit of oil. And I'll also add a little bit of salt at this point. So when I cook at home, I do use salt, but I don't use a lot of it because I add little bits at a time, just a pinch in the beginning and then maybe midway and then sometimes at the end. Because you don't want your food to actually taste like salt, but you want the salt to bring out the flavor of whatever the ingredients are. And the salt actually will help the onion to cook up and soften a bit as well. So while our onion is cooking, we'll also chop up some more garlic. And you don't have to make the garlic super small, just small chunks is fine. We're going to blend this soup, so you also don't have to worry about things looking really pretty. So remember, when you're chopping things, remember the claw, keep your fingertips tucked under so the knife doesn't catch them. So there's a nice little pile of garlic. And then I'll also chop up some fresh ginger. So to peel your ginger, just take your knife and slice out off that outer skin. You can also take the edge of a spoon and sort of scrape the skin off. And then I take my ginger and I slice it into little planks like this. And then slice those planks into little sticks. And then slice the sticks into little pieces. And the ginger doesn't have to be super fine. Just sort of like the same size as the garlic. So I'm just going to slide that over because this is all going in the pot at the same time. And then we'll also be adding some ground up cumin and some coriander. So it looks like our onion is getting a little soft, and this is a good time to add your other spices. So just toss that in there. And then while that's cooking, you'll slice up some carrots. So this soup actually uses quite a few carrots. It's 2 pounds of carrots. And I like to peel the carrots for this soup because sometimes the peel can actually add a little bitterness to the soup. So I peeled them all. You can cut these by hand if you have a Cuisinart. You could also use the slicer blade in your Cuisinart to just slice up the carrots. And the smaller the carrots are, the faster they cook. So I'll add these to our soup. And then we'll also be adding a thinly sliced potato. And the potato adds some body and a creamy, rich texture to the soup, similar to what you would get if you added some cream. But when you use the potato, you avoid that extra fat that you would get from the cream. So we'll throw in our potato. And then add our stock. So that finished stock comes out looking like this. Add it to our pot, and then you let this soup simmer for 20-25 minutes, you know, depending on how big those veggies are and how long it takes for them to tenderize. And then when you're done, throw it in a blender and blend it up. And what I like to do with the finished soup is to then add some orange juice and a little pinch of cinnamon. It doesn't take much cinnamon to flavor this soup, so start with a little bit and add more if you'd like later. And what's fun with soups, I think, at holidays or really at any meal, is that you can make them extra special by dressing them up with different garnishes. So we've got our beautiful golden carrot soup. And I'd like to garnish this with a swirl of something creamy. So I've got some plain yogurt here. You can also use some creme fraiche or some sour cream if you'd like. It is the holidays after all, right? And top it off with some toasted nuts. So I've got some toasted pine nuts. Or you could also use some toasted walnuts or pumpkin seeds. And I'll throw a little bit of extra thyme on there as well. Isn't that pretty? So it's a beautiful and healthy way to start any holiday meal. So remember, the recipe for this soup and the stock, along with other plant-based recipes suitable for holiday meals, are available at yrmc.org. Just click on Health Connect and follow the link to Your Healthy Kitchen. The folks here at Your Healthy Kitchen and at YRMC wish you all a happy, healthy holidays. And thanks for tuning in. We'll see you again soon.